We're live. Well, you know, we're the video's recording. Can you say it while we're live?
No.
Okay, we'll have to wait till afterwards. Hold that thought, Patricia. Anyway, we are back with our David and our Patricia. And it's a bit crazy, really, because when I put this video out on the other channel, I wasn't expecting to actually be having a hangout with David today. And then from that video, we've got this hangout. So it's great. So here's passionate David. Oh, he's muted. And our Patricia. Mwah, mwah.
Hi, everyone.
Hello there. Good evening. Yes, thank you, my sisters. Good to be back.
Here's our lovely Patricia. And our lovely David. Yeah, so I thought I'd put that video out about you because, I don't know, people aren't awake enough yet, are they?
Patricia, are you all good? Do you need to say anything to sister there, because we went live just as there was I think she wanted to say something, but I'll let the lady go first.
No, it's all right. I was just going to say, you were saying about asking questions.
Go on, Patricia.
Well, it's not going to be in the chat. It's not a chat one, so there'll be no questions. So it's just us three talking amongst ourselves and you.
Hey, Patricia, I wish you'd said that right at the beginning, my darling. I thought Patricia was going to say something not for everyone's ears, and she actually was saying it for everybody's ears. Thank you, Patricia. Yeah, we will go eventually live. They're clicking over to a new system.
Well, I was trying.
Anyway, all sorted. We're all sorted. Thank you, Patricia. Yeah, David, we're not awake enough, are we?
Yeah, right. Thank you for that. It's good to know about the chat. Well, we are. Let me put it to you like this: what I'm seeing, and I do get a lot of contacts and emails across the various platforms. I believe that man, woman. I know I'm not insulting the sisters there. We're just referencing it as such. But asleep, awake enough. I seem to see that we are allowing suffering and torment and abuse of our rights, neglect of our rights, neglect of our property and abuse and so forth and so on. When I say that, reference to the video clip that you've promoted for the the promotions for this hangout. So we then believe, most of the belief that I'm seeing is that when we come to pass and we the last deed that we execute on this projected realm of atoms and three-dimensional objects is passing away, dying. And when you die, you believe, man believes, that then life really begins, and we will ascend to somewhere grand and have everything granted. If you've suffered enough and you've cried enough and you've had enough heartache in your life and you've watched enough misery, death and pestilence. So when you say that, yeah, they are, but they're not just asleep, they're zombified, and they're allowing torture, and they're turning a blind eye to civil and social issues of which of a magnitude of such I've never seen before. And then we have this epitome of life where we go, oh, there's nothing we can do. I'm only human, and there's Babylon in a t-shirt says it all.
Can I say one thing, David? We've been trying to have a hangout for a few weeks. He went on holiday, but I actually put the video of you out because I thought, yeah, let's have some of that. And then from that video, we arranged to hang out very quickly because we were going to have one and just didn't have one. But it's synchronicity, isn't it?
Yes.
But I mean, David is a good friend of mine. We have had many a hangout, many a talk, and yeah, I really admire him because you've actually been helping people, haven't you?
Just last week there was a call come through for some members of the family, and brother Ben, we'll call him, had some agents of a major gas giant at his door, wanting to exchange a warrant for meters and so forth, and we actively walked the walk. The constabulary Met officers were called by the agents there, and ultimately I turned away the agents and converted the officers into constables, made sure they was under oath and that they was there to act as trustees in the matter, which was civil, and there was criminal torts being suffered upon the man. I'm aware that this is a bit advanced for some, but others will appreciate, you know, the
Can I
description.
just go back to the
We
beginning
turned them
just a
away.
tiny bit with what you're doing?
Yeah.
What it is it's from your video. It's a bit like you open the door and you say all this stuff and you don't even know what you're saying. You think you're just going, yes, it's me, but you're not. You're going, yes, arrest me.
To some extent, yeah, that's public liability, and the way that we accept that. So we are doing roughly a fourth publication. We're into our second year of being established, a private trust in England and Wales, and we will be teaching out the procedure what I did last week for Brother Ben of handling via the telephone. So I was an advocate. I was vocally adding strength to his argumentation there remotely via the telephone. So what I did is reinforce that what we're about to publish now is part of our key competence, we call it, because it's key for your competence to know for your defence, as such as opening the door, opening a mail, answering the telephone. They all come with public liability, and we reside in the private in law. And yes, we're going to publish what I just did again, because I'm getting old and tired, and we want to put established strong, think of them as trustees on every street in the landmass England, not the United Kingdom. That's just a fictional entity, and we'd like to give what we know away on PDF, PowerPoint presentation, videos with narration, and step-by-step learning, 15-minute bite-sized chunks, and then you're going to get graded via the .com that we have for your capabilities, and you'll be issued with a certification, our certificate from our private domain, to say you've passed, and you'll be at the level which is attainable to defend all public, civil, and to some extent criminal, to handle criminal allegations, civil, public charges against your person effectively. And no, you can't be intimidated. Doesn't matter how big the man is.
Because there's it's almost like there's two books of law, isn't there? There's the law, or the way that you look at it, and the way that they've made us look at it, rather than what's really there. Because if we knew or understood what was really there, we'd be saying and doing different things, though, wouldn't we?
Yeah, but they've done that. It's called dictions. We have addictions. We have addictionary. We have fictions. We have, there's lots of addict and diction, dict words, and penal. Penal is another extension. So the language is a tool. The law is a tool. And the Bible, the basic information before leaving Earth, the story, the Testament, New and Old, and the gnosis before Christianity itself, i.e. before 0 BC, 600 BC, 6000 BC, the gnosis that we found there with I won't go into the ancient pre-text there, but there's a lot that we've picked up upon, which is enabled us to know.
If someone came to knock at your door, how would you answer them? And they say, "What's your name?"
I say, I don't answer questions. Am I obliged to answer that? Whom is asking the question? On what grounds? Is it a benefit for me? Right, I am called David. You may call me David. I have a name, and I am sometimes known to go by that name. I am not that name. How can man be a name? So we are a party. There is David, and there is my estate, house, tribe, family, Giaramita. So I am David, and I am Giaramita. I used to be a DJ on the island of Zante for several years, and I used to make the party. I was pumping the fuel, pumping the party on half pints of raki for several seasons. And so I used to make and be the party, at the party, the heart of the party, the soul of the musical beats and that, and the microphone controlling, masters of the ceremony. And I've turned into a party in law now, where I'm on my own private party, and I will address anybody's claims to ask for information, but how I give that information and how I attach that, it's called joinder. Those of you that may have heard the Freeman movement and the constitutional movement and subsequent other movements will have known this word joinder, where you agree to be that name. So you have a name, it is an instrument, it carries liability. If you want that liability, then say you are that name. Yeah, a name is a noun, and a noun is spelled in Oxford grammar now, because I'm in Anglo England, with a capital letter and subsequent lowercase letters following the first letter capitalized. That's a noun. That's in English grammar. And a name, David, if I am David, or if I am the title and I claim that title, Mr. David, then that's a title prefix before the calling, the name. So Mr. David, that's not a good name to have, a Mr., because I am a master, not a mini star, not a, you know, all these stars and stuff that you have there in the government. So they have names and titles before that. Lordship, you know, that's the Lord. And what you have, a judgeship, and judge, you know, Harshberger. So a citizenship and a townships are names and a title. So I am Master David, and in the private self-governing. And if you want Mr. David, well, I'm afraid he's not here right now. You know, I'm not obliged to answer questions. You can't conduct business on the door, and I'm free to close the door. There's a sign at my door, though, that if I had a property, this is Anne-Marie's property, but outside here, it says all visitors are seen strictly by appointment only. Yes. And it says private property, trespass. It says nothing about common law. It says nothing about police or borders or anything. It just says private property, and all visitors are seen strictly by appointment. And then it says trespass. So therefore, you've warned everybody away, and they need to make an appointment, and you will see them. They cannot just knock and expect to get access, because that's dangerous. You know, we don't have unsolicited, is what the wording is.
What you're saying is, we always think that these laws are against us and for everyone else, but they're not, for us as well, if you understand what they mean.
Your home is your castle, yes, indeedy, and lots want to come and invade that castle, much like the Trojan horse effect, you know, and the things of such have gone by. So when you get asked to be a name, think, everyone, you own a name and you possess a name, the possession of it. I'm a holder of that name. You know, I've got a birth certificate there for my person. I was born. So I don't, you know, we address it like that. We've separated. Let me put it to you this way, for your channel and your scribes and others, that legal is for your person, your Mr., your Mrs., and law is for the man and the soul and the spirit, the tripart. So if you want to deal with law and honorability and correctness, then you, the man, the woe-man, the man of the womb, will deal with law, with your spirit and your soul, and you will command it. Because when you are born of the waters of your mum, as the waters above and waters below, and we breathe in and out water, there's water everywhere, you are crowned by the waters of your mum. Yes, you are. You're all crowned, every one of us. So the mums, the females of this world, the omegas, are giving birth to the kings, you know, the stars of all. You are all, you know, self-initiates and ascending stars of the realm. So we command the law in our unalienable rights attached
so
to
something happened in your life, didn't it? And it made you go and read up law and look at it and then read.
Yeah,
and also etymology has been a big part of your life as well. But the actual what was happening in your life started you on this journey of where you are now, hasn't it?
Yeah, a separation of a family unit, and then the law of England means that, well, the United Kingdom's policy, should I say, law of England, the United Kingdom's policy means that the mother of the family unit will get custody of the assets, the legal children. You know,
very quickly, explain what an asset is.
Well, I have offspring, you know, sons and daughters. They are considered in the legal realm and referenced to and as children. In law and in private realm, private property, protected from public, the general public, there would be assets. You know, my grandma used to say to my mum about me, always a real asset to you. You know, that's an asset as in worth something to you. It's a physical item of which you have the, you know, the full title of ownership, rights, property, and in law. And it's something, you know, it could be a business, it could be an invention you've made, it could be a YouTube channel. But in this case, your blood, your bones that you sire, that you make with your, you know, your partner. There's two of you making love to present the baby. In essence, I'll skip over all of the messy part. And the government have nobody other than you and the husband would have any input in creating that life, that soul, and that energy. So that's yours. And what happens in legal realm is they get you to sign a bit of paper. Anything you sign is a bond. And if you don't know that, then we'll get it later on. But you sign and you agree to give the government the physical property, and you give them to that by the registration, and they claim it and give you the legal title, which means that you are responsible and you must feed and clothe and medicate and look after and educate and follow the UK government policy rules. And if you deviate from any of them rules, you'll be legally responsible. Whereas if you didn't register and you kept the title a bit like the Mr. and the Master and the Lords and so forth, and you didn't give that registration to the monarchy, Reggie and Stray and Shun, it's like 3 words there: registration. Reggie is crown, Stray is give, so crown, give, and ion, we're all ions, and atoms, atom. So the registration gives the title, the legal ownerships, the lawful ownerships get shifted when you sign, and it's very, very dark. So I went to court to get access. You paid a barrister 20 grand, 2 years, and I didn't know any of this, and I got a court writ, and then that went well for 6 months. The mother moved house, and when I rang my solicitor and says they've done one and they haven't told me, they've breached the terms of the writ from the High Court, they said, well, you need to go back to court then. I went, what, more money? Another few years? No, I'll just ask it round and I'll find where they are. Sheffield, I'll get where they are and I'll do it that way then. But then I got into the discovery of why the doors are shut on dads that aren't criminals, never been locked up, never really had any criminal serious charges other than possession of cannabis when they were younger, which is no crime. It's a plant. And, that was it. So I was quite frustrated, and I looked in other realms to discover the language of the courts and the positions. And we found trust and equity. I went from not knowing what acquiescence and estoppel mean all the way to trust and equity at the end of that long journey. So if you go to Indiglo on my channel, sorry about the non-professionalism, but it's all from the heart and from the soul and the spirit. You'll see for my first upload on my videos, not the playlist, but the videos part of my channel, you'll see my curve of learning, and I've documented on video and blogged all of my learning and what I found out, and I've given it away for free. So others before, like me, would have that to look at. Not everything's correct, and there are a lot of mistakes, and you do need to double check. And I have changed a lot since I first started to where I am now. I've developed and grown. So, that's how it's gone. And we are very grateful. Very grateful for it. Indiglo, so it's INDI space GLOW. And I've put some comments in the video promo for this and said hello to the ones that commented. So you'll get the link there. And I've done a video blog of law and legal, because we start off legal, and when you work out who you are and you truly know thyself, you find Babylon and the subsequent, harm in that, you go into law and freedom. So it's quite unique, the path we've had, and we've done that by helping others, not by ripping off others on YouTube, copying stuff. We've gone out there for the last actively 5 years and tried to fix the world and save everybody. We've not done everything and succeeded in 100%, but 95% we've succeeded in. So we get hit up very quick.
You're another person as well that watches every word they say, what it means, spells, etymology, the whole thing.
Yeah. Well, I was dyslexic and retarded, I was told as a child at school, and I would never amount to anything, and I'd end up in prison. So when you're dyslexic, you have ADHD, and you're in the 80s, and there were spastics sat next to me. Not my words, don't be offended. I'm sorry for this, but there were spastics sat next to me. That we had the spastic society, we had political incorrectness, we had no recognition of anything. We had Thatcher privatising everything, riots, and Arthur Scargill. The fingers got took off the buttons. I will say, from my point of view, as a younger boy at the time, in the educational indoctrination.
Hey David, I kind of understand, because for me,
they didn't know how to deal with me. They couldn't deal with me, so I just got pushed around, And
but listen, David, for me in the 60s, so it's a different party was in. The Labour Party was in. So it's all governments do this to us. They were piloting this thing called ITA, which was trying to change the phonetics of everything. So you took out the joined up writing and you started using other letters in the alphabet as backs for other letters. So, for instance, a T could be an I, an E, because it's got a back. Anything with a back, you could start joining them together. A D, for instance. But then they piloted it. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of children my age were put through it, and then no one made a record that it didn't seem to enter into people's heads. Oh dear, these children have been piloted on this. So we got called thick and stupid. and it made me artificially dyslexic, you know. And basically, it was like you'd just been on holiday to Greece, so it was like being Greek and then being taught English. I just couldn't understand any of it, because joined up writing is totally different when you've been trained to join your letters up through the backs of other letters. But you see, they lied, you know, they called us all sorts of names. My parents thought I was retarded. I had to have all these tests, and all it was is I'd been taught this wrong education, and no one had noticed it the whole of my junior school. That's until I was 11. Just when I was going into senior school, someone noticed.
So there was others.
I understand this whole thing, you know, as a whole generation have been made artificially dyslexic.
Well, I believe it's the drugs, and, you know, like the aspartame and the chemical contents and the artificial content, the plastic content, the lack of mineral content, the high cancer causing sugars, and the subsequent preservatives. And there's a big old list of why, you know, the injections we get when we're born. We are test
program. It's all
yeah,
a program, isn't it?
Yeah, they test on us. They do indeed. So for me to now be publishing documents in law coming from a broken family from a council estate that had ADHD and dyslexia, when I hear the YouTube and my scribes, that's what I call my, I don't like the sub part of it. So the scribes, my channels, you know, viewers, as you know, subscribers as they were formerly known, and they tell me, David, it's too hard. Your videos are too long. I lose my saturation point after 45 minutes, you know, and I need shorter videos, and all these excuses. I'm like, hang on, man, you watch a video at the cinema and you'll pay £40 and commit 2 hours and not learn anything, and gladly do it time after time and pay to do that, but you won't come on YouTube with a pen and paper and sit for 2 hours and passively learn as a self-initiate into the new Hermetic and scientific 0 point. You know, we're into science as well. When we found law, we found Tesla, we found Dollard, we found 0 point, we found Tellinger. It just kept exploding. It's just been phenomenal. Yeah, we're not just law. No, it's not just law. We like science, don't we, as well? So
it's very hard though not to talk about other things when you're. So you start off on A, you've got to explain B, C, and D. You just got to, because it's part of A.
Law.
That's why the videos are a bit long. But you know what? It is a lot of information to take in. You know, unfortunately for us, you're mega intelligent, David. That's what it is.
No, I'm an I'm an indigo child, allegedly, which is an indigo asset, an indigo boy. And there are rainbows, there are light workers, there are crystals. We were labelled as ADHD, retarded, backwards, authority questioning, little shitbag. Sorry to swear. I won't do it again, but that's what they called me. And we were troublesome. And then when we got older, we started to look at words that confused, you know, like allow, suffer, sorry, and suffer legalese. I found legalese by accident, and I went, "What's that?" And he went, "That's what they speak in court." I went, "What do you mean that's what they speak in court? They should speak English in court." "Oh, no. If you go to a court, they speak legalese. We speak English. That's why you need a solicitor and a barrister." I went, "What?" "But law is equality is paramount in law." I went, "Well, that's not law. What they do, they do statutory codes that are mandated from Westminster upon your person by default." I'm like, "Well, what did you just say there? You just spoke Klingon to me." And he says, "No, these codes, Dave, are not law." And I went, "Okay." "And legalese is not English." I went, "Shit, I just spent 20 grand in 2 years for what? For somebody to mind, you know." And I thought this was real. I saw the wigs. I went into the High Court in Sheffield. I says, and I had to go through tests and jump through hoops. This was serious. This was real. No, it weren't real, Dave. It was just a show. They're acting. It's a court. They play a game on it, and they have got an oath. You know, your barrister there is oath to the crown. I'm like, "What, to Elizabeth?" He went, "No." Slapped me in the face. He did. He went, "The Crown of London." I went, "What's the Crown of London?" He went, "They're part of the 3 crowns, you know, from the first master trust of 1302, and that's what we did. We're not intelligent." I went, "This bloke talking to me did all that like I've done from mind," and I just dropped. I went, "Well, I'm not even stoned or anything, and I feel like I've had a trip. Say that to me again." And he introduced me, Matthew, to and others into the realm of truth and what the, you know, the crack is with regards to this, and I've got a weird brain that likes numbers. They speak to me, and we use them. And the law is lots of numbers and lots of abbreviations. So I used my freakiness, my weirdness that outcast me from society initially, and I put that to some use. So I now can help others with it, and I can stand up and say I didn't understand English as a child, and I didn't like it, like you're saying there, with the spelling and the grammar and the punctuation and the I before E except after C. That one just warped me, and lots of others does and dose.
Oh my goodness, that's me. Do you know what? Every time I was writing does, but I was spelling it as does. And it was in my 20s before I realised, oh my goodness, all that time I've spelled does as dose. I knew what I was writing, but I don't know. And one day I just saw it. But I've had to teach myself to read and write, so.
It's Babel. We speak Babel, don't we? Not having a Babel, as in London bubble, but Babel. We speak. It's got French in it. Our language. It's got Latin, French. It's got lots German, Sanskrit to some extent, Greek, Egyptian. It's not English. The language that we have.
The real English is thou art thou, kind of, isn't it?
Anglo-Saxon, we'd call that Middle English, Middle English Anglo-Saxon. If you research that, you'll find, like Shakespeare was renowned for his articulation of the language, and
also, talking with you, on all these hangouts, our language has been changed on purpose.
Yeah, it's the Phoenicians. That's phonetics, not just etymology. Etymology is like the backing of the language, which will add the additional support and give you the original meaning. Like tachograph, here's one, is an instrument in a lorry in all the fleets in England due to the 1998 Commercial Road Traffic Management laws for public and commerce from Westminster. That tachograph records the hours and the driver, the speed and the truck and the times, when it stops, when it starts, what the top speed is, when he has a break, all of that legal stuff that you need to conform for the insurance and the police and the business and everything else. So the common law. And that taco and graph, taco is not an English word. It's not Mexican either. For those that are going to go, it's Hispanic for the food taco. No, but well done for the Mexicana Hispanic link. If you didn't get that, I've just given it you. It comes from Greece, okay? It's Greek, and it's in the English language. We have mortgage, mort and gauge. The great British mortgage swindle. Can you Adam and Eve it? I can't, but there you go. Mortgage, there you go. Francais now, over to France. And so we're speaking English, David. Yeah, I know we are. And it's deceptive. Okay, when you read the Bible and you hear the instructions from the Most High and that man Jesus, when you read that story, okay, in my opinion, the greatest story, there are 2 commandments in it. 2 I found. One is, lest ye not be deceived, and we have been deceived. Good hook, line, and sinker. Let this ADHD dyslexic man tell you. And the Lord said, "Go forth and multiply." In essence, and we can't go forth and multiply, especially if you live in China, because you've been chipped, mate. So we are.
Generation of people have to go outside their country now to look for women. Can I just say 2 things, Patricia? Anytime you want to say anything, my darling, unmute and say it, okay? Because Patricia's quieter than me, and she often sits there. But whatever you want to say, Patricia, take your microphone off and ask. And also, David, the other part you do is, when they shove all this law in our face.
Yeah.
When you're dealing with scared, frightened people who've got issues,
Yeah.
you're able to look at it because they often don't follow the law they're supposed to, that they give us to do it. So
Yeah.
things are wrong on things. And
it's interpretation. You'll find that the officers, off-icers, police, policy, police, off-ice. Yeah, you're in an office yourself. So we are going to look at, I'm going to email and get in touch with the highest rank and file officer of the United Kingdom current police force, which would be a lady in office by the name of Cressida Dick. And I'm going to let her know that we're going to send her the publications that we've done and that we're presently doing. And the latest one will be how to identify and present legally and lawfully. There's 2 scenarios for you to have on a stop and search with an officer in the street. So they don't know the officer when he stops you for a UK stop and search without reasonable grounds, because there's an incident gone off, and under common law he needs to know if you're involved. So he's quite rightly allowed to stop you as a constable or an officer, a peacekeeper, whatever, United Kingdom operative, and stop you and do a search there and then. So we're publicising how we would present the person, as I've explained now previously, and how we would present and say we are the person if we just wanted to do it normally, as we've previously done it before we've embarked on this new exploratory educational defence line against the Crown of London and its presumed consent. So yeah, we would like to inform the officers. Last week, when the two agents were caught, dig the scene, man's in his house, he hears something at the front door, he has a look, his mate rings him, says, there's somebody at your door, mate, just trying to tinker with your lock, and they're drilling it and stuff. And he came out, what are you doing? And they jumped back. He got the members of the gas joint there trying to get in on a warrant of entry for health and safety reasons. And he pushed them back, not physically. And later on, the officers come. And, I was interfacing with the officers. And when I was talking to them about oaths and liability and trustees and liens, all right, and CPR, the civil procedure rules which govern the court, and the law, the civil law of England for administrative issues. There's no crime here. There's no breach of the peace. I knew more than them. I was ahead of them, and I put them in point, and I dragged them to it. I put them where they needed to be, and they had to go and check with the boss man. What? And they're there to come and defend in law. They don't know law. They know public code. But they're being forced to recognise law, and if they don't recognise law, they'll get their houses seized on the form of liens and damages and redress and counterclaims, because they're there to uphold law. If they help a company break in and breach a man's rights under common law and equitable rights, as in the private, and they assist that as an officer and a constable, the police have effectively, the Met Office of the UK, are aiding and abetting the money to be made by corporations and laws to be broken. That's ultimately, may as well have Hitler in the hot seat. So that's why we come in. When you're disabled and you're a single mum and you're non compos mentis, they put you in infantry, child, or insane, mentally, legally insane. All of us are just about in that, or infirmed, sick. So you're a baby, you're insane, or you're sick, and that's how they group us all, the three ins. And we will help and teach this and publicize it and get the basics out there, and we'll give it out for free. So this will be, our blood will have this given, and since John Harris and before John Harris, this should have been put out, the verbatim basic of trust, equity, and the beneficiary position, set law, grantor, United Kingdom of America. It's different language, different coding and stuff, but we didn't have this, and we're well behind. And you're not criminals, you sisters, Patricia and Karen, me, we're not criminals, but you can be an offender. But you cause an offence, that's just an offensive smell. Doesn't do any crime here. And you cause a crime, then you need to pay. So offences, we're getting mixed up with crimes. And when you're a woman with a family, you've done nothing wrong, and you've got a big man at your door threatening to take your stuff because a bill is owed, and you're going to get sick and ill from this as well, then we'd like to stop that, and we can help do that. Yeah.
Thank you, David, who spends a lot of time, because you've gained all this information and you've been giving it out, and you have quite a lot of hangouts as well, don't you, talking about it?
Yeah, we interact, because I'm going to go into the private ultimately very soon, and when I do, I've got to make an agreement to say I'll shut my mouth and I'll be quiet. It's like you're in a battle. The general public, military, secretary of state, chief of staff, these are military positions, right? You're in a war. You don't know you're in a war, but you are. I'm going to exit out the war. And when I do, it's like I'll call a truce in the middle of the war. The war will stop. The battles and the tanks and the planes and that will stop. Everybody will be grounded. Me and the chief of the United Kingdom will have the master, the grand master of the High Court, and myself will come together, and we'll meet for a short time, and we'll have our performance and procedure, and I will authorise and request, and hopefully using mercantile law, estates from public will go to private, and remedy, redress and maintenance and cure will be issued, and all will be corrected ever since the 1302 First Master Testamentary Trust from the Catholic house of God there. When I go into private, I will not, when I've called that truce with the Grand Master and we walk away and the battle is finished forever, by me coming back on the channel and going, hey, everyone, guess what's happened? then I've restarted the battle, and that's dishonorable. So I need to get out the most important, basic, key competence what I can now, and then the rest will be housed further going on when I go private into the .com that we've built, and we will continue on in honor with clean hands, with a clean conscience privately, and we will develop and build the trust and expand it like that. So I've got to give. I have a contract. A contract is a covenant. If you look for the spiritual ones and the Gnostic ones out there with the wisdom of the Christianity and the heliocentric bibliotech, the Bible, you will know about these covenants contracts. So the Ark of the Covenant, the spark, the ark, the spark, the covenant. The covenant is an agreement. Abraham and Moses are in the book with agreements with God. They were called not contracts, not agreements. They were called covenants. The Ark of the Covenant was what kept the contracts, allegedly, amongst other things. You've got to be careful with the interpretation and the meanings. And yes, we have this to give back. Once I've done that, I lift, my way is rewarded for, not with gold and not with money, but with security and remedy from this incessant, nasty, divided Roman club, that we're in. Are you
Pretty bad, isn't it? What we're in right now.
spanctioned? You've all been spanctioned because you've been very naughty and you didn't listen, did you? So for that, just sign here, and that's what we're doing. We're signing
It's
our
worse
lives
for
away.
those that are awake, isn't it?
Every day I wake up, it's like somebody spits in my face because I'm aware of what's happening, yeah, and I'm aware of my um, ignorant position and the urgency of which to rectify my status, standing, and capacity to get out of sin and save my soul. So when my time comes, not only can I pay what's it called, Anubis or whoever it is that weighs up the soul and the heart, and I can pay my way across, and I'm ascending now mentally, consciously, and at that point, I should be enough to go away again, because I've had enough and I'm tired, So I'm doing what we can now, and it's payment for later, balancing the scales. Indeed.
Do you still have that picture of the Parliament up in your living room?
No, that's it's a negative energy. It was good for the first year to motivate me and remind me that there was a job on, as I say on the video, and what I was full. As the more you learn, and the more of the areas you learn of law and the etymology and the occult and the Gnostic and the legal and the lawful and the spiritual and the subatomic and the atomic and the 0 point and all of the realm, it ties you in, and at some point you are able to balance it, and you can use the anger controlled effectively, and you are like a Jedi warrior with the energy's there, all that anger is there of like 100 angry men, but it's controlled, and it can be now directed and channeled effectively and calmly into a positive thing, rather than just pitchforks and violence and fire and shouting and arresting and common law infractions of
You have won a few cases, haven't you?
pardon.
You have won a few cases, haven't you?
We have had some results. We've made a few magistrates run out of courts, and we've had charges, because you're dead and you're considered dead. They charge you to give you life, so you get charges. These are not bills under the 1882 bills of exchange. So we're able to articulate what they're trying to do on our persons and not man quite articulately. And when they realise, they run off. And if they don't run off, they discharge. So we have got evidence of a court case being discharged by Oxford magistrates after they had to take expert legal advice and deliberate for an extra 25 minutes after the shop shut to come out and say, well done, boys, you're free to go. Of which we went, bum shanker, we was never held, and well done for playing the game. We won that game. So with DWP, ESA, I've got testimonies from my YouTube scribes saying about Kevin, not just me in this, there's Andy, Kev, David, Greg doing the website. So there's a small team of us, emissaries, if you like, protectors, running a very massive, not empire, but it could be viewed as an empire to be. It's a trust. It's not business, but it's our business. It's our private business, rights and so forth. So we're doing all right, but we're winning because we do civil and we do contract and we do like the areas of claims and finance, and it gets a bit messy. We used to get confused, but we're doing well, yeah, in a lot of areas that are quite complex. So the remedies we have to make on the spot. Nothing is generic, but a lot of the answers can be generic. You know, we just have to then fine tune the details. So
well, we very much appreciate people like you, because obviously you're looking at the law differently, and people don't understand the law, so they're looking, you know, there's just, yeah, so really appreciate that you put yourself out, you actually go to some of these court cases, and you've been helping people.
yeah, I've also made some.
That's more than most people do.
Yeah, I've also made some silver water and fixed psoriasis that I've had for 20 water on there. We do, like you say, it's law, health and wealth, balancing. You know, I do Reiki. My mum's a Reiki master, so I've had my 7 chakras like brought into line and rebalanced somewhat through meeting a shaman of 20 years when I was out on the island of Kos in Kefalinos in Kos, visiting and checking up on my mum as I do every year.
Kefalinos or Kefalonia?
Kefalinos, I believe it is, on the
All right,
island.
I've been to Kefalonia.
Yeah, that's not far up there, yeah, up the road, yeah.
I loved it there, beautiful.
Yeah, so I've had my chakras balanced, and we do science with magnets, you know, Reiki, you know, and the law is relevant because there are. I've said Hermetic before. If anybody's ears pricked up there, if you've not heard of Hermes or Hermes Trismegistus, it would be, or alternatively Thoth, Thoth. There's the 2 different. Greek is Hermes, Egyptian is Thoth. And when I said Anubis way in the hearts, that was an Egyptian god of the, you know, underworld reference to the cryptology that I found in Egypt. So this Thoth man is the man that allegedly built the pyramids and is responsible for a lot of the mathematics writings, Sumer, Akkad, Mesopotamia, Judea, going forward. You know, his madness is also known as Jesus, Buddha, and other names there. So the Hermetic principles are what the Christian Bible, Old and New Testament, seem to be focused upon, which are the 7 Hermetic rules and principles of life. Now, the universe and the world will, no matter what galaxy you're in, respond and correlate to certain universal laws. They are, you know, in this realm, the seas of space and the seas of commerce, all of the seas, and we have these ethereal network connections going between. So we kind of went out on a limb on some parts where we didn't need to. And when I take a break, I watch documentaries that are about the energy side, the ethereal side, the occult side, the you know, Michael Tellingers and Nikola Tesla, Eric Dollard, Michael Hutchins, the energy, the magnets, the copper, the crystals, the elements, the periodic tables, the numbers, the math, and it comes into a very nice full circle, because the rules are the Hermetic principles, that the Bible copied them and they put them into a book that said, if you don't follow this and pray and be good, you're going to burn in a place of fire and hell, which is complete bullshit. Not only have you got other, sorry to swear again, I did say I wouldn't. It's just, it's very frustrating that you can command the universe at your will and get it to perform for you if your intent and these two are balanced up, you know. So it's as simple as that. And we've been tricked and conned. I'm no magician. I'm no occultist. I'm no Satanist. What I am is an indigo with a brain, and the numbers can work for you, and you can ask them to help in a weird way, because the universe is completely made of numbers and, you know, chaos theory, triangles and shapes and things. It's weird, but it's a resonant frequency ultimately. So that's you know, something for your scribes that they may not know of, that you look into Hermeticism, and they are the fixed laws of all of the realm, of all of the universe, of which is the Bible, copying of that, and they were written before that time. So it's key that, you know, if you haven't looked at that, I'm not saying to believe it, just, you know, consider, you know, what is being said and done.
Sorry, I had to just mute for a second because my daughter came in. Just, she didn't know I was on a hangout. Yeah, well, quite a lot of music to my ears. I don't know, when you mentioned all those names, it's like, yes. I don't know. You know, people have to look into this themselves, don't they?
Yeah, they do indeed.
We've sort of been going for about 45 minutes. For the last bit, David, what would you like to say? Last 10, 15 minutes?
Oh no, don't do that to me. What would I like to say? Good Lord, I speak it too much. That's what I'd like to say. Man, speak it too much. What do you mean in reference to what?
Man, and he's got a lot of advice, and you've tried to help me and so forth, and we've also had many hangouts where we help each other, and that's what this should be about. So I love you anyway, David. So you, whatever you want to say, whatever it is, the last 10-15 minutes.
Oh wow. I don't know really. I've said a lot on all my videos. We've covered every topic. What's going off at the minute, political wise, with the country is, you know, this it concerns me. This deception and the way that the UK government is, you know, it's a fictional entity, and you've got Boris mentioning the golden age is going to be uttered in. Well, the golden age is a reference to a 6,000-year-old fabled, you know, prophecy of which I'm going to leave there. It's one of the C's of which I look at, like the currency, the papacy, the prophecy, C's of, you know, Caesar. Caesar, all from Caesar. So the current golden age is being, you know, alluded to by Boris and, you know, Trump there. Oh, wow, yeah. They've both got blonde hair. I don't know what the golden age is on.
Oh no.
Yeah, they won't be uttering in no golden age. The UK
No,
government.
no golden age. Never
Yeah,
been, not for a long time.
yeah, and they're going to spend money on lobbyists and so forth, and the way that they operate, you know, is quite crazy. So what?
Ways of spending our money and taxing us when they know it's all a load of rubbish and it's never going anywhere anyway.
Quite rightly so. Yeah. What I've had come back from my Queen Anna Maria is that she's been working for an agency now for in excess of 2 years. She's failed to get a contract, but she's had 0 days off sick, done overtime, and got the number one picker of the warehouse for a good 3 months running. But yet she's failed to get a contract because in this warehouse it's an agency. I'm not going to say its name for liability, but it's not an English based agency. It may be Romanian, all right? I'll give you a clue for the ones that like to do a bit of digging and research. But the UK government, Boris's, and so forth, you know, have got these in play here. The Queen ultimately, and they are using man, and they are basically taking a mick, using you like a robot. Because when you fall down, there's a lot more of you to replace you. They don't care. They don't really, you know, give a rat's ass about anything. They just want you to turn up, work, pay the monies, and go. And you know, they don't really get too
They don't
friendly
even
with
want you
you.
talking at work anymore, do they?
They don't pay you right. And what they do with Anne Marie is they try and give her overtime, but they'll get her to come in on a Saturday and agree on Tuesday to do Saturday, and then they'll cancel a Thursday or a Friday, and then to go in for the alleged overtime, which isn't overtime because you're now not doing over 40 hours, and get to work on a weekend day, which she wasn't really scheduled to work. And you do all this messing around and jumping from pillar to post. And in these warehouses, I used to be a warehouse manager for a major international Nasdaq and what we're talking stock exchange, international distribution of drugs. And thing is, you know, it was a big old chain what I worked for, and these managers there, they were they were having parties at Christmas, having sex with each other's girlfriends. They were having clubs. They're out of work and stuff. The Polish were sticking together. The Hungarians were sticking together. The Romanians were sticking together at work. Like, that's what I mean. We weren't all joining up. There was all divisions everywhere. There was arguments. And I'm like, oh my days, this is just disgusting. You know, it's why I left. Why I had to get out of that negative environment. But the warehousing is worse than the music industry and the DJing, to be fair. And it's so cutthroat, it's unregulated to quite a lot of the extent. There's a lot of international communities fighting each other in there. All, and I've seen, I'm telling you this for a reason, because the UK government and these crummy agencies and the profits and the shareholders have overcome our bloody rights, our entitlements. It used to be 12 weeks maximum on a company's books for an agency, and then you was took on by law. But these laws are all being changed by these elite bankers and these ones that are usurping our energy, our blood, our time, our children's future, the country's resources. The animal kingdom, the plant kingdom, and the kingdom of man are falling. I've got Babylon, you know, must fall on the lineage there. I've not got my .com advertised or anything. The message is it must fall, but the Babylon is going to take man down. as it falls down too. And these agencies and contractual laws that the United Kingdom allows, and the Queen and everybody else ultimately,
David,
they
it's a little
sell
bit
your
windy. It's a
rights.
little bit windy. We're missing a few of your words.
I was just saying, the company, the UK corporation and the company and the Queen and all this, under God, there they are, have sacrificed man's very rights and blood and tears and Christmas bonuses and pensions and everything, for what? I don't know, but this is what I'm annoyed with, the fact that it's all about money and commerce. And when you go on holiday, you're a pallet. You go on holiday, no one gives a crap about you and really cares. They just want to move you and get the money. Take as much as they can. Do you want a drink? Well, you're on a plane now. It's £16. What do you mean? Well, you want a drink, don't you? Yeah, but it's £16. No, it's not 16 quid. But everywhere you go, you get taken advantage of. There's nothing that's there for us, by us, is there? Nothing at all.
It was all made for free originally. Free, the food, the land, and now we have to pay for well, I'm surprised we don't have to pay for the air.
Yeah, so we will use these languages and tools and what we've got to try and turn it around and make, we'd like to, closing words would be, we'd like to make the world's resources man's common heritage again, where we are striving to find a non-sectarian universal remedy for all of the animal, plant and kingdom of man. And we found that technology is called trust, and it has equity governance around it. And you lot, my family now, extended family, scribes, tribes, etc., shaman, herbalists, and whatever, you knowing who you are is the one thing that this legal system does not have an answer for. It's like, I can face the devil now and look him right in the eye, and he can breathe all his fire, he can get all his wings out, all his horns turn as red as he wants, and he can't touch me because I know who I am and I know that power. And if you don't know who you are, you will never be able to walk that line and stand there in front of the demon of your life, or whatever that demon is. For me, it's a devilly creature, but because of the negative energies we encompass daily, that are deceptive, and they
You
sneak
hit
into
it
your
on the
life.
head though on that one. You've got to know who you are, and if you don't, you'll never know anything, because you'll never trust or believe anything else. You've got to know who you are as a person. It's the biggest thing you can do for society, is work out who you are first.
Not as a person, as a soul, as a spirit, an entity. Yeah, as a human. They say human legal definition.
Got feelings.
As a creation of the Most
You really
High.
have feelings. That's the one thing that most people try not to have at all anymore, is feelings.
Yeah, emotions, and we can't control them. Men can't deal with them.
See,
We don't control.
you're passionate, David, because it's a feeling.
Yeah, we've got dissonance, and we are mentally fractured and scarred to some extent through the we go against nature. So we've got a lot to correct. Everything that we know.
It makes you realise you're a bit more alone, aren't you? When you say family, we might have talked to loads of people. The family's actually quite small because a lot of people just don't really want to wake up. And if you're quite awake, or you want to know all this stuff, then anyway, just hopefully more and more people wake up.
I just get the headphones out. It was going crackly.
But we're coming up to nearly the end now, David. Patricia, do you want to say anything before we go? Don't think Patricia was feeling that good. Ooh.
That's it. That's my other one. I had ready, that's the website, Sovereign Paralegal. Yeah.
Hey.
You know me.
Patricia?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Patricia?
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Oh. I forgot what I want to say now. It's always nice to have you on, David, by the way. And I'm just trying to think. It was somewhat really good, me. I come out with some good stuff, and I'm thinking, I can't put life in me. Think what it was now. Well, it's similar to this. What I was thinking is like, we can react to things, and once you realise that we have a choice in how we react, that's the power.
Cool. Thank you, Patricia.
There we go. Sorry. You're right, Patricia. We are trained by media, Hollywood, and all the cartoons that you see as a young girl, as a young boy, the Tom and Jerry, the deaths, the beating, the slammings, the rockets, the simulated deaths. Your conscience doesn't know the difference between fiction and a real thing happening. As if you saw it on the street or if you see it in a cartoon. That's why Family Guy is so dangerous and why I've stopped watching it, because what you see in paedophilic realms in a cartoon, your brain can't tell the difference of. So they train us by repetition. Now the human psyche, the brain is impressionable. It's very articulate and concise and deep, the brain itself, but the psyche and the consciousness, you can learn by. That's why I say self-initiates. You learn by watching passively on my channel and these videos and hangouts, and you pick up stuff. So you learn after repetition. You're hearing me say certain things certain times. After a year, my scribes can speak like me to some extent because I've programmed them and they've let themselves be programmed. So they can react using that programming, which is like a mental alchemy. Alchemy is a good word at the minute. It's like a cross-pollination of the old crappy stuff with the new indigo light worker crystal technology. And then we have this new way. And a part of that is that when we bow down to the letterbox, you know, bowing to get the mail there from the what would we call it, tombstone, gravestone sized dimensional opening in the door, you often react sadly first thing in the morning. It might ruin your day what you've read there, but we don't let that happen anymore. You know, we call weak strongs. We change consciously. We're changing consciously, moving and adapting to that. So another thing is beer, alcohol, stress. That's like, it's called a Hegelian dialect. I've mentioned the Hermetic principles, but there's a Hegelian dialect, love and hate are on it. They're both the same thing, but there's an opposite end of it, and we try to be in the middle. So that's where we're at. We are mastering further now, not just law and who we are, but you can tell we are developing a lot into the other realms of the deprogramming, the, you know, limited capability that we had. We are becoming unlimited, like a company has limited liability, you know, LTD. Well, we have become UN LTD, and we are working against that because man's problem is that they react quite a lot. And if a judge in a courtroom thinks by banging his gavel and start shouting at you will make you lose your train of thought, and then you utter, that ruins everything. And if you can't be prepared in an adversarial environment to keep your train of thought and argue with somebody who's meant there to be on your side, and that's how and the fear, you know, the fear of the judge or the banker, as we call him, you know, the rogue, then you will lose your case. And they plan on that. That's a tactical game in a court where they'll go, you know, preposterous, and they're banging and the cloaks and the police coming in, and you've lost your train of thought. Now you've lost your case, you've lost your argument. You're gonna, you know, and we don't, you know, that's
not expecting people to even know what the law really means. They're just expecting you to, okay, I surrender.
Comply.
Depression, though, you know, it's easy to be depressed. We have to actively be happy and to put that conscious positivity there. And after a bit, your body does it for you. After about 2 months, for me, it starts going. You get up in that bomb. People say, "Why are you so happy, Dave?" I say, because it takes a lot of work to. It's not an act, but it takes a lot of work to come up through that. And the cream, not I am not the cream, but effectively the cream would rise to the top, where you are all them little bits fighting up to get to be the cream at the top. When you get to that point, yes, you need to have that. Alan Watts is somebody that I like to mention, who's fantastic. No matter what he was in his life, he's got some fantastic words. And Napoleon Hill. There is a man in America. He's very old. This is me when I get old. Ladies, remember this name, Chuck Misler. Please check out Chuck Misler's chats. He's like, puts the Bible in with all these numbers that I do, and this is what I'm going to be like when I get older. Think Chuck Misler. These three men is great you know, things of information, philosophy in which you can tackle life with that works. You know, react differently. So you don't react, you respond. And when you respond, the Hermetic principles has a section in it called the principle of correspondence. Correspondence. Respond is in correspondence, you know, and yeah, it's all linked, to be fair. And I hear what you're saying there. It's a massive problem because it affects suicide. Somebody might read somewhere and it flicks a switch and they go and walk out, and that's the last you see of them. That's, you know, that's the worst case, how they react. Life's gone. No, for a fictional debt, no way. You know?
Yes. Well, we could go on for hours. But
sorry.
I know you'll come back and we'll talk a bit more about more things. Patricia, is there anything else you'd like to say?
Well, I remembered what I was gonna say, but it's not really important now.
Well, just say it.
It was what you said, Karen, about you wish people would wake up. Karen, they don't even know they're asleep. So it's, there might be, like you were saying there, though, that something could just trigger something, and it's that trigger that we're hoping they get. That not in a bad way. I don't mean to go kill themselves or that. I mean to actually see something and go, oh yeah, and then that gets them thinking. We need that little trigger to get them thinking, and then Bob's your uncle, as the saying goes. So Chuck, it's been really nice speaking to you and listening to you. So good luck for everything.
Yes, I'm sure on that very last bit that Patricia was talking about, we could talk for hours on that bit, but we could do that another day. But Patricia and David, last words with you, David. Thank you so much.
I said, yeah, I'll come back. It's been a nice first time. We've kept it short. We've managed the impossible. Things are changing. Development is happening. Continuous improvement. And yeah, I'm very excited about what we're about to do to close off this year, the latter part, and where we're at. We are in a good place. You are all loved. All right, the word doesn't get used enough. You are all stars of your own, whether you like it or not. I can prove to you that you're made of matter from the cosmos, which is effectively stars. You are stardust, Ziggy Stardust, and the spiders from Mars, Mars Star, Ministar, Westminster. You know, these are not just glorifications of oneself. So I am here to help you. I am your brother. You are my family. We're going to teach you how to trust and love again. And we need help, right? And you know, I can be eternally grateful for the exposure and the love, and I will reciprocate it back to you in the channel from me, David, and Indy. Thank you very much, ladies. Much love.
Hey, thank you, David. Anyway, it's good evening from us to everybody. Thank you, David. Thank you, Patricia.